I've built hundreds of AI workflows for real clients and taught thousands how to do it too. And I noticed something strange. The thing is, most people online are building the fancy stuff, but businesses don't actually want that. They only want 5 types of automations, and these are just simple, boring workflows. They're features that truly save time, save money, or get rid of mistakes. And these 5 automations are the ones clients will pay the most for. So in this video, I'll show you what they are, why they sell, and how you can build and sell them too. But before we jump into the first one, let me show you how I figured it all out. I've worked with coaches, real estate agents, dentists, HVAC, e-commerce, and more, and I've seen the same patterns in every business. Different industries, sure, but they face the same issues, and these workflows keep popping up over and over. So if you're watching this and want to make money selling AI in 26, don't overthink it. Just begin with what companies are actually paying for and what the data indicates. So let's jump into the first workflow. So this one is speed delete, and honestly, it might just be the easiest automation to sell to any service-based business. So that's what happens when someone completes a form on a website, shoots an inquiry, or gives a business a call. A clock starts ticking right away, and the quicker the business reacts, the higher the odds they have to close that deal. Studies show if you respond to a lead within 5 minutes, you're up to 10 times more likely to convert them, compared to even responding 30 minutes later. But still, the typical business needs 47 hours to reply to a new lead. That means 2 full days have passed by then, and the prospect has already spoken with 3 of your competitors. Maybe they forgot they contacted you, or perhaps they've already fixed the issue on their own. So a speed delete system fixes that gap completely. As soon as someone fills out the form, the automation kicks in. It captures the lead info. It sorts them out depending on factors like budget, location, service type, or whatever. And then it sends that lead to the right person on the team. And it also sends a personalized follow-up message right away, so all of this happens in just seconds. So which industries actually cover the cost for this service? Dental clinics, law firms, home services companies like HVAC and plumbing? Real estate agents, marketing agencies, or basically any business where a misleading or slow response directly equals lost revenue. Basically, every business does this, and that's the reason they pay so much. Since the ROI is instantly clear, you don't need to persuade them of some theoretical AI agent future benefit that might help them tell, or it might not happen. You just show them the math. So let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're dealing with a local dental clinic. They're dropping $5,000 a month on Google Ads to get new patient inquiries. And let's say they're getting 100 new leads a month from those ads. But since the front desk is swamped, they're not getting back to folks for hours, sometimes not even until the next day. They close 12% of those leads, so for every 100 leads that come in, they're booking 12. Those as new patients. Now you can set up a speed delete system so that whenever someone submits that appointment request form, the system immediately sends a personalized text and an email that confirms the inquiry, sorts them based on the type of service they need, and it alerts the right person at the clinic right away with all the context they need. So what you did there is you didn't change the ad spend, you didn't change the copy, and you didn't change the offer. You just made the actual business faster. And let's say the close rate goes from 12% to 25%, which is conservative. That means they're bringing in 13 additional patients each month with the exact same ad budget. And the key is showing the business owner that exact math with their data so price objections vanish. Because at that point, if they really think about it, the expensive decision is to ignore you and just not hire you. Okay, now that you've got the first one, the second one will make more sense, and this is likely the least exciting automation on the list, but it's also one of the most profitable, and that's what document processing is. So first, let me paint you a picture. Picture yourself as an accountant on a Monday morning with 200 invoices waiting in your inbox from last week. So for the next few hours, your job is just to open each one, read it, and grab the vendor name, the amount, the date, the line items, and then just type all of that into a different software, categorize it, and then file it 200 times every single week you have to do that. And that's not an exaggeration. That's the real situation at a small accounting firm where I put in 50 hours a week as a full-time employee. The whole job is just moving numbers from PDFs into spreadsheets. So at $30 an hour, that comes out to $78,000 a year. So what you can do is create a workflow. You can receive invoice systems through email. The system pulls out the vendor, the amount, the date, plus all those other things you need. It can also verify it against a chart of accounts. It can spot anything odd and then send all that clean data wherever it's needed. This will cut processing times from 15 minutes per invoice, let's say, down to something like 2 minutes, because you might still want like a human review step at the end. And that would save roughly 45 hours each week, which adds up to over $70,000 in direct labor savings each year before you even account for things like human errors, since those also cost the business money. Actually, the neat part about document processing automations is that often you don't even need AI to do this. Some of the most valuable document workflows I've ever built were purely rule-based, with no LLMs, no fancy prompts, just pure logic that transfers data from A to B without a person ever touching it. And when AI isn't involved, the system is totally deterministic. It works the same way every time. It's rock-solid logic and basically maintenance-free. And the reason these cells are for simple manual document processing, which takes about 15 minutes per document and costs between 15 to 25, costs dollars per unit with an error rate ranging from 5 to 15%. As I mentioned before, each of those errors actually cost the business real money. So you automate that, you save time, cut costs, and let the math do the selling. For you, unlike Speed to Lead, which mostly serves service-based businesses, this one hits a totally different set of industries: insurance companies, law firms, accounting firms, logistics, construction, really anyone that's drowning in paperwork. If professionals in the business are wasting hours each day just shuffling data between systems, then a deal's waiting to be made. Okay, so before I dive into this next one, I need you to get what I'm covering 2 workflows back. While that sounds pretty similar on the surface, with follow-up sequences and database reactivation, they solve different problems. Follow-up targets new leads that still need more touch points to actually convert. And reactivation is about leads you forgot about, from 6 months ago. They're two different situations. They're two different systems, but both are extremely profitable. So make sure you keep an eye on the difference because it really matters. Okay, let's start with follow-up and nurture sequences. This connects straight to lead speed, since getting the lead quickly is only half the fight. What happens right after that initial touchpoint is where businesses also once again mess up, since most businesses spend a lot of cash on getting leads. They get someone interested, maybe they fill out a form, book a call, or attend a webinar, or something along those lines. Then the business reaches out once, maybe twice, before moving on. At that point, the prospect just needed one more touchpoint before they were ready to actually buy something. Studies show that 80% of sales need at least 5 follow-ups, yet most salespeople quit after just 1 or 2. And here's the thing that kills me. That person's already raised their hand. They've already said, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Business, I'm curious about what you're doing. And that first intent action is always the toughest part of the entire sales process, since once someone has filled out a form, attended a webinar, or had a conversation, they're a warm lead now, and turning a warm lead is exponentially easier and less expensive to convert than trying to make a cold stranger care. But most companies just let those warm leads go cold again since they don't follow up. So a follow-up automation can fix this when a trigger event happens. The system will kick off a personalized sequence automatically every single time, and over time, you can layer on more intelligence. You can pull up and check your M data, do real-time research on the fly. Whatever it is, you can add more steps to this nurture sequence. And to be honest, I'd probably toss this into the appointment settings category. So picture it as an Instagram DM automation that nurtures everyone who follows your account, and try to get them booked on a call with you. I'm not going to run through the full industry list again. I believe you already get what kinds of businesses need this: coaches, consultants, agencies, that kind of stuff. But the sweet spot specifically is a business that already has decent lead volume. They realize they aren't getting good at presenting in front of people, since you obviously can't follow up with leads or reactivate leads if the bottleneck lies in acquiring leads to begin with. But here's an easy example. So imagine a B2B consulting company hosting monthly webinars with 150 registrants, and only 60 people show up before automation kicks in. Someone is manually sending follow-up emails and trying to book those calls, and this could take 2 to 3 days since the messaging is inconsistent. Half the list never gets touched, and humans just forget during this manual process. Had a conversion rate of, let's say, 4% of registrants. Once the automation is running, every attendee receives a personalized follow-up within minutes, while no-shows get a different one. Over the next 2 weeks after the webinar replay, the system will run 3 to 5 touch points with real value each pull in context to keep it feeling personal. The moment someone replies or books a call, the sequence stops, and the sales team gets pinged with all the context from that conversation. The conversion rate will probably go up to 10 to 12%. That's 18 calls instead of the original 6 that we were getting with the manual process. So naturally, you convert that into a value. Meaning, if the average deal is $20,000 and they hit 30%, that's moving from $36,000 to over $90,000 per webinar. Same webinar, same content, same spend. They actually followed up. Okay, so that was follow-up sequences which handle new leads that need nurturing. Reactivating a database is a totally different beast. This means going back in time to every business that's been around for any amount. Time is likely sitting on a gold mine that they've completely forgotten about: past customers who have churned newsletter subscribers, who never bought leads from people who began a free trial and then vanished or went silent after talking. Same idea as before. These people already know the business, they've already had some level of interest, and they're just sitting in a CRM collecting dust. So this type of automation database reactivation will pull them from that existing database. It will sort people based on where they dropped off. And you can send personalized outreach designed to restart the conversation or reactivate the lead. When someone responds with interest, the system qualifies them and hands them off to a salesperson as a warm. Skip the mass blasts and generic messaging. Every touchpoint now points to their unique history with the business. So let me jump straight to why this is so powerful, because I think an example will hit harder than me explaining the mechanics. So let's use a local gym as an example. Say it's been open for 3 years and has 4,000 people within their system, which includes former members, trial users, and cold inquiries. But no one's contacting any of those people. They're pouring their entire budget into new ads to bring in fresh ones. People in the door, so you build a reactivation workflow that segments the list and sends customized messages that reference each person's gym history. And even a modest 2 to 3% conversion rate here means that's 80 to 100. And 30 people walking back through the door at $50 a month with an average 8-month retention, that's 32 to $48,000 in recovered revenue with no new ad spend, no new copy, no new leads, just working what's already there. They've already seen results, and agencies that focus specifically on database reactivation are reporting average ROI of 1,200% in the first 60 days, so this one almost sells itself. You ask a business owner how many contacts are sitting in their CRM doing, there's no telling them how just a small slice of those customers returning would impact their bottom line. And you're not selling automation anymore, you're just showing them basically a huge pile of cash they forgot they had. And you're offering to go pick it up for them. The industries that benefit the most from these are ones with high lifetime value and recurring revenue. So gyms, dental clinics, SaaS platforms, e-commerce, coaching, or anyone with a database of 500 billion or more contacts that aren't being actively worked. So this is the last one, and I saved it for the end. It might actually be one of the most underrated automations on the whole list, which is internal reporting. And status notifications might not sound super flashy, but it's actually one of the stickiest automations you can sell, because once a business has it and is using it, they literally can't imagine going back to life without it either. The way you and I would feel if we lost our favorite AI productivity tools is that we'd feel super slow. Every business has folks wasting hours gathering info. Others need to make decisions. So sales managers gathering weekly pipeline figures, agency owners putting together client KPI reports, ops folks pulling status updates from all these different tools. None of this work is hard again. It's just manual and repetitive. And it takes up hours every single week. And I can tell you from my own experience, when I was working at Goldman Sachs, a huge chunk of what I did was automating reports just like these. And that's one of the reasons I jumped into automation, because I saw how much time can really be saved. So an internal reporting automation can take care of stuff like this in the background, since it can pull data from different systems, it can run the analysis, and it can just basically notify the team where they would have gotten that already. This might be a daily Slack post showing yesterday's sales figures. It might be a weekly email showing the client performance metrics. It might be an automatic alert when a deal reaches a specific stage, or if a project starts falling behind schedule. The system operates independently and pulls real-time data. And it puts it exactly where the team already looks for information, so no new dashboards, no new tools. There's no new process here. You're just automating something that sometimes people do as their entire full-time job. And once again, I believe it's not to replace that person, but maybe let that person do something that's a bit more valuable to the business. This is a real life example of one of the most profitable automations I've ever seen, and it was so simple. It just turned daily phone orders into the same text format the construction crew was already using, so everything got organized automatically, of them typing it out each morning. It saved 45 minutes a day and helped avoid $12,000 a month in scheduling errors. The crew didn't have to switch up a single habit, and that's what happens when you meet a business right where they're already working. They don't want to learn new processes. They don't want to learn a new UI. They're just looking to get faster. And I'm not even going to list industries for this one, because honestly, every single business runs into this problem. If a business has more than a few employees and uses more than just one software tool, they need reporting. And this works because of the flywheel definition I always share. You build a system that basically saves time to work. It lets them handle more clients, serve existing ones better, and all of this grows the business. And when the business grows, the system gets used more, which basically feeds right back into itself. So the value is exponential, and that gives you real leverage. All right, now that you know the top 5 workflows to sell, here's how to actually go out and sell them. Because I see so many people start out trying to sell the actual workflow, you need to be selling the outcome. You need to be selling that I can save you 10 hours a week, cut your admit mistakes and human error, get your leads moving faster. That's the positioning people actually pay for. So rather than offering to build and edit in a workflow or a tangled code automation, you're actually offering to save time, lower expenses, and help them concentrate on earning more cash. There's actually an easy way to start doing this. Don't try to learn all 5 of those automations. Just pick one, master it inside and out, build a simple version, and show a business owner a demo. Once you choose your lane, you have 2 paths to follow. So path 1 is to get completely focused on a specific process. You're basically saying, hey, I'm going to be the absolute expert on speed to lead systems. That's what I do. There's a massive benefit to this. You learn the language of that specific problem. You find out what actually converts, what objections show up, and where things usually slip through the cracks in that process. And you actually become the expert, which means you have better case studies, better positioning, and stronger testimonials. And you can probably promise better outcomes than someone over here who's more of a generalist and has 10 different services. It's the same reason a top-tier steakhouse doesn't bother with hot dogs. They're famous for their steak. And it also means they can ask for way more money for their product. So then the second path is to kind of go broader and be a consultant. And if you go this route, your job isn't to walk in with your demo solution and force it on a business. Your task is to understand all these use cases so you can make smart suggestions. But in the end, you're there to find the actual bottleneck. This isn't what the business owner thinks the problem is, or what he or she thinks the AI solution that he or what she wants is actually locating the constraint. And there's a really solid question you can use to find it. That's asking, hey, if 500 new clients showed up at your business tomorrow, what would break first? And this is super powerful because that question makes them think through their whole operation logically, step by step. And as they walk through it, you'll see that maybe their intake process falls apart at every single hole. Maybe their team can't keep up with follow-ups quickly. Maybe their reporting falls apart and nobody knows what's going on. Whatever breaks first is probably the place you should start. Think of it this way. Pop your little fast. Picture your business as a pipe with water flowing through it, which is basically your cash flow. That cash is yours. If there's a clog near the start of the pipe, so why would you try to shove more water into this blocked pipe? But that's what most companies do. They spend more on ads, they spend more on salespeople, and they do all of this stuff to try to push more volume through a system that's already broken. What you actually need to do is remove that clog, and then once it's gone and the water flows through the pipe, then you focus on finding more water and getting more water to go through it. And the 5 organs we just went over are the most common blockages. Speed delete closes the response gap. Document processing fixes the operational bottleneck. Follow-up sequences plug the leaky pipeline, and database reactivation unlocks revenue you've already paid for. And internal reporting fixes the visibility gap that slows down every decision. So pick your path, pick your first workflow, and go show someone the value. That's how it all begins. So I know we packed a ton of info into this video. So what I did was put all of this into a resource guide that you can access for completely free in Backend, my free school community. You'll find that link down in the description. And if you want to see exactly how I started making money using this framework, then check out this video right up here on the screen. Anyway, that's all we're doing for today. But if you enjoyed or learned something new, please definitely give a like. It helps me out a ton. And as always, I appreciate you folks sticking around until the end of the video.